Hi students, this is Uma Mageshwari from St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Kadalur. This video is for the paper British Poetry 2. In this video, we are going to see the analysis of the poem Dover Beach written by Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold is one of the eminent British poets and cultural critics of the Victorian age. He was born in December 24 in the year 1822 at Laleham, England. He was the eldest son of Thomas Arnold and Mary Arnold. His father was a historian and the celebrated headmaster of Rugby School located at Rugby, England. He received his education at Winchester College, Rugby School, Balliol College and Oxford University. During the year from 1838 to 1842, Matthew Arnold and his brother produced a magazine twice yearly called the Fox How magazine. During that time, he also received his secondary education at Winchester, Rugby and Balliol College. The years after his graduation, he spent much of his time in teaching at Rugby and traveling through European countries like Wales, Ireland and France. Matthew Arnold is characterized as a sage writer, which means a type of writer who chastises and instructs the reader on contemporary social issues. His major themes are social and cultural issues, religion and theology, and education. He felt that poetry should be the criticism of life and express a philosophy. As a poet critic, he occupies an eminent position in English literature. He is considered as the father of modern literary criticism. His criticism on Wordsworth, Byron, Shelley, and Keats are remarkable in English literature. In 1888, he was died. Dover Beach is Arnold's best-known poem written in 1851. The poem expresses a crisis of faith. The speaker acknowledges the diminished state of Christianity, which is being unable to withstand by the rising tide of scientific discovery. The speaker senses the changes in humankind which is happening because of new research and intellectual inquiry on universe. In its expression of alienation, doubt and melancholy, the poem is often interpreted as a remarkably forward-thinking precursor to 20th century crisis of faith. In a sense, the poem is an inquiry into what it means to be alive. The poem is an allegory for the battle at the time between religious conformity of the past and scientific rationalist thought promoted by industrialization and the Victorian era. The speaker of the poem is a male individual on a beach near Dover, England. He is certainly Matthew Arnold, the poet. The audience is a female individual on the beach listening to the speaker, who is Arnold's wife, Fanny. This poem is in free verse because it has no defined structure. The poet does not follow any consistent rhyme scheme, and the ideas of the poem are broken up into sentences. Let's move on to the analysis of the poem Dover Beach. The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. Upon the straits on the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering and vast, and out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. 1 day from the long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. At their return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Let's discuss the first stanza. The first stanza begins with a serene description of the sea. The poet invites his beloved to come to the window to enjoy the beautiful night, the sea, which is calm, and the sweet air. From the first stanza, the poet shows a sensory awareness as the landscape composed like tranquil sea, moonlight, and the strait, which gives a big picture that is constituted of balance, stability, and harmony. Here, the word strait refers to the Strait of Dover, which is between the English Channel and the North Sea. The fifth line, the light that gleams and is gone, refers into a light that is flickering on the French coast. Metaphorically, what it means is that The light is regarded as the fluctuating faith in God and religion. Here, the poet signifies that God's dignity cannot be destroyed by the loss of faith. Moonlight creates a sense of melancholy, mediation, and despair. The natural scene is amalgamated with a sense of spiritual security established by the words like calm, full, fair, and tranquil. The concept of eroding furthers the theme, that is, weakening of faith in human beings. The poet calls his companion to join him in experiencing the delight of nature. It shows that he appeals to pause and participate as Arnold seeks companionship. The poet could anticipate the shift in human ideology from the Christian tradition to the impersonal world. That is, impersonal world which refers the ideology of scientist. A beautiful image is evoked as the beach drenched with water drops and blanched with the bright moonlight makes the sand look white. The jarring roar of the pebbles caused by the ebb and flow of the sea creates a striking contrast to the pleasant atmosphere described in the first few lines. It produces a depressing, tragic, and undulating appeal. The continuous and endless movements of the waves bring in a deep sense of melancholy, that is, the eternal note of sadness in human. Let's move on to second stanza. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. Here, in the second stanza, there is an allusion to the famous tragic poet Sophocles. The waves, which is despondent and monotonous, reminds the poet the same despair with which Sophocles observes the misery and suffering of human beings in life as he heard the melancholic sound of the waves of Aegean Sea. The same tone is also found by Arnold himself, which is deeply affected by the tragic aspect of the sea and of human fate. Nobody is free from the eternal sufferings that human beings find themselves in. The disordered rise and fall of human misery are symbolic to the ebb and flow of the sea waves. The sea is an archetypal image invested with the sentiment of divine dignity. Let's move on to third stanza. The sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, but now I only hear its melancholy, long, withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. The third stanza begins with the line, the sea of faith. Here, the faith is faith in religion. Due to the advancement of science and materialism, the faith in religion is rapidly losing its significance. A sense of doubt and despair pervaded everywhere, leaving human beings dejected. The spiritual and religious faith that was once unbreakable is now shivering. The sea of faith that enveloped the world just like a girdle is fastened around the waist of an individual has now receded. Science questioned and challenged the religious and spiritual ideas, inducing doubts in people's minds. The dominating and loud roar of religious faith was now retreating. The strength, loud and intense roar of the sea of faith was now replaced by a gloomy and withdrawing roar. Here, the night wind symbolizes disbeliefs and doubts. Faith has been darkened by science. The phrase naked shingles refers to the pebbles that are naked because the water has receded. However, it hints the idea that when faith is lost, there is no divine delight to protect us. Move on to fourth stanza. Our love, let's be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. and we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Let's discuss the final stanza. The final stanza opens with an expression of intense despair and sorrow, which is filled in the mind of the poet. Love is invoked as the ultimate solace with a sense of a certain consolation. According to the poet, in a world which is tormented by deception, lies, and gloom, love is the ultimate truth. The world seems to be like a deceptive land of dreams which culminates in hopelessness and pain. The reality is contrasted to the appearance and illusion. Life is a cacophony of turmoil, which is human beings are swallowed by the darkling plain, where there is no joy, no love, no faith, no certainty, no harmony, and no help. Lovers, in their common suffering, require the comfort of constancy, as we as human beings are more often brought together more by sorrow than by happiness. A kind of darkness surrounds human destiny as they clash with each other on vague alarms with a sense of primitivism and savagery. And the clash is as endless as time and tide. Humanity has lost its substance and spirit as they indulge in meaningless acts of battles and wars, spreading only despair and hopelessness. The poet finally hopes that only love can change the world in a right way. Let's see the figures of speech used in the poem. Simile is used in line number 23, lay like the folds, which symbolizes in circles. Metaphor is used in the line 21, the sea of faith, symbolizing religion. Hyperbole is used in line number 14, the eternal note of sadness. Calling sadness an eternal note is an extreme exaggeration, emphasizes the speaker's sadness for observing what he believes is a symbolic representation of the battle between science and religion. Allusion is used in line number 15 to 18. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. These lines allude to a passage in the ancient Greek play Antigone by Sophocles. Arnold is possibly referencing that Sophocles also experienced a sensation of revelation similar to the one which Arnold experienced on the beach of Dover. Personification is used in the line 10, the roar of pebbles. Pebbles cannot roar. Roaring is a human trait. Sound devices which are used in the poem are assonance in line number 2, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. Consonance in line number 33, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight. Alliteration is used in line number 1 and 2, the sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. Thank you.